Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the 2021 TimeformUS Road to the Kentucky Derby Series. In this video, I'll be handicapping an upcoming Derby prep from this Saturday at Gulfstream Park. That's the Grade 3 Holy Bull. It goes as race 11 on that Saturday card. Let's throw up the field and see who's participating in this Florida Derby prep that begins their road to the Florida Derby later this spring. The favorite here on the morning line is the number 7 Greatest Honor, though I'll be interested to see who actually goes favorite here. I think the number 6 Prime Factor is also likely to take a ton of money here. I personally would anticipate that Prime Factor is the favorite here based on how impressive he was winning his debut for Todd Pletcher back in December. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but you do have plenty of horses in this race that are coming off maiden victory, stepping up in class, and plenty of horses trying 2 turns for the first time. Let's move on to the TimeformUS pace projector to see how it's sorting out these horses that are stretching out in distance. I don't think it's any surprise to see that the 2 horses that are stretching out from sprint races are projected to be out towards the front end, those being the number 6 Prime Factor, that horse that I said might go favored, and also the number 2 Willie Boy, a bigger price, but one that also has just run 6 furlongs twice in his career and has shown speed in those races. So both of those are likely to flaunt that speed out on the front end. The number 7 Greatest Honor, that morning line favorite, who will take some money in this race, he's projected to be towards the back of the pack. He is more of a closing type who does need some pace to close into. You don't see any kind of pace characterization here. We're not predicting a fast pace, but I think much of that depends on how fast those sprinters stretching out do go in the early portion of this race. Let's move on to that horse that I personally think will be favored, the number 6 Prime Factor, making his 2-turn stakes debut for Todd Pletcher. This horse earned a 107 TimeformUS speed figure for his debut victory. That's a pretty nice number for a horse making his first start. Obviously, you see he won off by almost 9 lengths, and let's take a look at that race. He was very visually impressive getting the job done here. He briefly stalked a rival on the backstretch, but took over with authority while racing about 3 wide on the far turn, and he draws off very impressively here in the late stages. You see that Irad Ortiz was on him in this race, just gearing him down for the final 16th of a mile. I don't think that he could have run a whole lot faster because this horse is running through the finish line, but he definitely did it the right way. I don't think that race took too much out of him. He just has to stretch out distance here, and the pedigree says it's not supposed to be a problem. He's a son of Versatile Sire Quality Road. On the dam side, his dam's a half-sister to Speightster, who was a winner up the Dwyer going a route distance. Also, his second dam is a full sister to Dance Smartly, that Canadian Triple Crown winner from the mid-90s. So there is plenty of route pedigree in here. I'm just a little bit concerned about 2 things. Number 1, that December 12th race was run over a track that's color-coded red in Timeform USPPs. That indicates a speed-favoring surface, and we already saw another horse who rode that speed bias on that Saturday, Tax, come back and not run back to his big figure that he earned in the Harlan's Holiday when he ran in the Pegasus World Cup next time. So I'm a little leery of horses that seem to ride that speed bias on December 12th. And also, Todd Pletcher's statistics with horses like this are just not very good. Let's throw up a screenshot from DRF Formulator showing Todd Pletcher's numbers with horses that are coming back off debut wins, integrated stakes on the dirt. You see he's just 2 for 26 over the past 5 years, 8% with an ROI of just over 50 cents. And actually, if you scroll through all of these numbers, he hasn't won with one of these horses since 2016. He's actually 0 for his last 20 with horses off debut wins and graded stakes. So I'm a little leery that this horse is going to be overbet. This is not something that Todd Pletcher does that well. So I'm definitely using Prime Factor. He's working well. There are plenty of signs pointing in this direction. I just am not sure that I want to take him at a very short price. Moving on to another Todd Pletcher runner in this race, the number 4 Amount. This horse also won his debut. We'll take a look at his winning effort. He won off by over 5 lengths, winning by a clear margin, just like Prime Factor did. And he was going away at the end of this race like a horse that's going to relish added ground. The problem with the Mount is that whereas Prime Factor was facing a field of horses that seems to be pretty talented, there wasn't a whole lot behind the Mount in this race. This race came back pretty slow. That 88 TimeformUS speed figure is just not going to cut it against this level of competition. And the horses behind him, a few of them have run back. They really haven't done much in their subsequent starts. So I think this horse is getting a real class test here. And while he might appreciate added ground in the future and ultimately improve, I think it's asking a lot for him to win this graded stakes in just his second career start. Moving on to some other horses, let's look at that morning line favorite, the number 7 Greatest Honor. There's a lot to like about this horse. He's got plenty of experience. He did just break his maiden last time out, but he's been cycling up to that kind of effort for a while now. So I think given the fact that he's got these 4 races under his belt, including 2 prior to turn races, he seems like a little bit more seasoned than the number 6 Prime Factor and maybe more ready to take this step forward into stakes company. Let's look at his maiden victory last time out on December 26th. But he did everything right in this race. He had some trouble in the first turn. There was a bit of an incident. He had to steady and go around horses. He made a long, sustained run from the back of the pack to get up here. The runner-up in this race, Dynamic One, he's okay. And the third place finisher, Another Duke, came back and won last Saturday at Gulfstream Park. And I like the way the Greatest Honor finished this race. He's going the same mile and the 16th distance here, but I think even more ground in the future is really going to be to this horse's benefit. He's got a real stamina-oriented pedigree, being by Tappet. His second dam, Better Than Honor, has produced Belmont Stakes winners Jazzle and Rags to Riches. So this is just a horse that I think, even if he doesn't win this race, he's one that you want to follow as they progress down the Kentucky Derby trail. And Shug McGahee, he knows how to get horses like this in good form. So I think the fact that he's got this horse improving now, he should continue to take steps forward in subsequent starts. And I just think he makes a lot of sense in this race. Other horses to consider include the number 8, Sittin' on Go. This was the impressive winner of the Iroquois from last September when he was a 2-year-old at Churchill Downs that day. He got a pretty impressive 106 buyer for a 106 TimeformUS speed figure for a horse that was just in September of his 2-year-old season. The issue is that we haven't seen too many horses running back to the figures that they got in that Iroquois, and he falls into that same boat. He's regressed in 2 subsequent starts. One of those was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, so I guess we could be a little forgiving for that effort since he was facing some of the toughest horses in his division that day. But he came back at a shorter price than the Kentucky Jockey Club and once again put in a pretty lackluster effort. So I just think we're a little bit leery of that Iroquois because all the horses coming out of that race, really except for runner-up Midnight Bourbon, who was contesting a fast pace, they just haven't come back and run to that figure. So I'm a little hesitant to take Sittin' on Go in this spot. One other horse that I think could get into the mix at a price is the number 3, Papa 2. He was second last time in the Mucho Macho Man. He was a big price that day, getting set off at 20-1 behind Mutasabek, who I'm not sure why he's not in this race. I know Todd Pletcher was mentioning him as a probable for this Holy Bull. He's gone instead with 2 recent maiden winners. But Papa 2 shouldn't mind getting away from that horse because he was second best to that one. I thought he put in a game effort, though. He was making a rush to contest the lead on the far turn, stayed on pretty well through the stretch. As a son of Dialed In, he shouldn't have too much trouble handling this mile in the 16th distance. He showed promise early in his career before they tried some tougher stakes in New York last year. But I think the break has done him good. And if he can build off that 109 TimeformUS speed figure that he got last time, he's a big player in this race. He was pegged at 15-1 on the morning line. That seems like too big of a price on this horse. I think he'll get back down more than that, but he definitely seems like one that could get into the mix. So throwing up my picks for this race, I landed on that Shug McGahee maiden winner last out, Greatest Honor. Just seems like he's the one that's coming into this race with the right kind of pattern. I think he'll get a decent pace set up. And if he's around that 5-2 morning line or even a little bit higher, I think that's great value on him. So he's my top pick. I'll use him over the number 6 Prime Factor, who I do think is the real deal. It's just a question of value with that horse. And Papa 2 and Sittin' on Go will be underneath uses for me. So let's look at the Holy Bull for this Saturday at Gulfstream Park.